Right, so the panhead, couldn't get it running to any sense at all with the electronic ignition in it. I've gone through all the basics, double checked the timing marks on the flywheel with a degree wheel on the end of the cog, so you know you're coming at your retard's 35 degrees, yeah? 7/16 of an inch down on the piston stroke. Stripped and rebuilt the carburettor, took off the cam chest to make sure the cam timing was all in a proper alignment, which it was. Readjusted all the tappets, tried it again, no joy. I mean, it just, you can get it to start one kick, but the automatic retard on it, it just doesn't seem to work. So I'll put it back to points ignition for the moment to see how, I need to get it running right before I start playing around again.
Yeah.
Fired it up yesterday, but I've put the original coil back on it now, because we tried another one to see if it was that, but didn't seem to make any difference. So it may not start because of the coil's been changed back. I wanted to put it all back to original, you know.
Okay.
So we'll give it a go. Fuel on. Yeah, new spark plugs. Set everything back up. Right, can you hold on to this, Robin, for us, please? Right, so you've got to give it 3-4 prime kicks. Make sure it's got plenty of fuel in it. One click on the choke, retard the ignition, fuel's on, find the keys, ignition on, give it a handful of fuel, right, kick it past, I'll prime it again. Should, in theory now, no choke, anything, just go, yeah?
Okay.
This is famous last word.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, that kick-starting, because it only went third kick, might need a bit more choke, might need a bit more throttle, but it's, the basics are there.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a midget. You know, you need to give them a bloody good kick.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So, can you just explain with these bikes what priming does and why you have to prime?
Right, well, it's a twin cylinder. I don't know, can't remember what cc it is. That's a big old area to fill up, because you haven't got what's called an accelerator pump on the carburettor.
Yeah.
All modern sort of bikes, like Tim's with the S&S Super E on it,
yeah,
they have an accelerator pump. So as you open the throttle, it physically squirts fuel into the carburettor and into the valves.
Okay.
These don't. So you need to get a lot of, they run sort of semi-lean, you need to get a lot of fuel in them. So full choke, full throttle, kick them 3 or 4 times, and that is sucking, because that air blocked off, the suction in the pistons is sucking fuel into the engine.
Yeah.
So you need a lot of fuel in the engine to start them. Fair bit of choke on these and a fair bit of throttle.
But sometimes if it doesn't start, you need to prime again. Why is that?
Because it's bang popped burnt the fuel that was in there.
Oh, okay.
So you need to prime it again to get more fuel in, but you can overdo it, you can flood them, which is, again, a pain in the arse.
And you just then have to keep kicking over until it clears it.
You hold it on full throttle, no choke.
Right.
Yeah, so then you're putting more air into the mixture to try and clean it all out.
Okay.
And then realistically it should fire up. You've got to get the kick right as well. Like, if you got, that's on compression, yeah?
Yeah.
You should be able to literally, that's my body weight, yeah?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is roll it over. So next time, go past compression and get it to that point there.
Yeah.
It's right on it, and then boot it. That's firing, bang bang. Then you've got a long duration before it goes bang bang again. So you want to try and start it on that stroke. Yeah, they just need plenty of fuel in them. But that going, first kick, once it's got a bit of heat in it, you know that your timing's pretty much bang on. Don't know why that smokes. I mean, clearly it is rich. I can weaken that down on the mixture screw. But now, I'll fire it up again. See where all the oil's coming out? That's coming out the bottom of the oil pump, that's okay. Yeah, so basically, all I've got to do now is fire it up, get it nice and warm, make sure it starts first kick again, and then I will take that points ignition back out and try the electronic ignition again. We got it starting on the electronic ignition and running okay, but what it should do is self-retarding. There's different settings on the two cams. On the you put this over the rotor, so you've got two pickups in there, yeah? So you put that in place of your points, that goes over the cam, over that cam there. So as that rotates and goes past the two magnetic pickups, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom one, it's that way up, is your standard firing.
Okay.
This one on the top, you can move between 10 and 20 degrees for easier kick starting. Now I've tried it in all positions, I've put that on there. Yes, it will go on an initial fire up, but what it should do is then revert itself back, so it only starts on the kickstart, runs for 10 seconds, but it will not start when you try it again. It's just like it hasn't retarded, the ignition's just locked, you can't kick it over.
Yeah.
It'll throw you over the bars. So possibly there's a fault with that, but now I know it's running okay with the points in.
Yeah.
In theory, you should be able to bolt all this back on, play around with it until you get it to run properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because we couldn't even get it to start and it was all over the place, took that out, put the points back in. You got to start from basics, you know. These, because it's a pan shovel, you don't know what cranks it's got in it, you don't know any. You can tell by the marks on the flywheel where the firing mark is, in quote theory. So you put your degree wheel on, yeah, you set it up with a wire pointer coming off of one of your bolts at top dead centre.
Yeah.
You put it on there, and you wind your engine back, and you know you want to fire at 35 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay, so you set that up, double check your timing marks in the hole. I know that that's right. Okay, so that's that. Adjust the tappets, make sure that's right. I've already taken the cam chest off to make sure the cam timing's okay, which it is. And then put it back to points ignition, and clearly it goes. Somebody who's, you know, 18 stone, they'll be able to boot that and it will go. There's no two ways about that. You've got to get it, you've got to catch it right. Inlet manifold's leaking, so I've done the O-rings on that, given it a squirt when it's running. They're not leaking at all. Remade the oil feed pipes. I think that casing might be cracked there, but nothing major, and something's leaking out the bottom very slightly. I've taken the skid pan off underneath to make sure. I didn't know if it was coming out the casings or just dripping out of here somewhere. I might have to take that front exhaust off and just have a look, because there's something dripping down here somewhere. I think the reason the guy who owns it said that the gearbox main shaft oil seal was leaking. They had a couple of drips out of it, but this chain was rock hard and this chain was rock hard, so tight. I think it's putting so much pressure on the bearings in there, it's probably letting a little bit of oil past. Speedo drive was leaking, and it looks like that's cured that. So tightened it all up. Hence why I've left it with all the primary covers off to see where it is leaking oil.
Yeah.
So that's progress so far.
Do these bikes leak in general, or are they pretty tight?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. It's just
a bit excessive.
Yeah, it was leaking quite a lot of oil, but again, possibly that chain was like rock hard tight, which is you can't get a gearbox any further forwards. But by loosening the back chain, it released all the pressure on everything.
Yeah.
So that's helped out a lot. Like I say, these were leaking. So every time we did them up, these were rolling off of the, because all it is I'll show you on that one. All you have on the inlet manifold is it's much less than that. It's about there, and you just have an O-ring that fits in there, and then the other one is exactly the same. So basically you've got a big air gap there, and you put the clamp around it and it clamps up the O-ring. Yeah? Crap idea, but it's 1950s, 40s, you know, design, isn't it? But every time I did the clamp up, it was rolling off, so I've had to put them in a position and hold them and get them cranked up nice and tight, and that seems to have done it, because I've given it a squirt when it's running and you don't get anything. It doesn't change the revs or anything like that. So gone through all the fuses in the underneath where the battery is and made sure all that's wired up correctly. One bit was wired up wrong, so I've taken that out and that's all done. Clearly it runs all right on the original coil still. Start again now, but I know it runs, you know. That's half the battle, once you know you got it right.
Oh, precisely.
Because like the guy said, it's never started run, it's never run right. Never started run? It's never started right. Something like that, anyway.
You kicked it over a few times and you get words all over the place.
Yeah, something like that. Well, it wears me out, doesn't it?